Hey, this is Frank at Frank's Friendly Cars. Looking at a Toyota 3.5 liter V6 2GR-FE engine. Now I'm going to show you how to set the timing on this engine with a timing chain in the camshafts and crankshaft. The reason I'm doing this is because the documentation that's available for doing this from Toyota is a little bit vague. Well, I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's not vague at all. But if you're just looking at it for the first time, it's a little bit vague. And then tried looking through what's available online as additional resources like on YouTube and so on, and really didn't find anything that was overly helpful or sufficiently helpful, let's put it that way. So kind of waded through the process and decided to create this resource for people who might be going through the same thing with this engine. Alright, so over here, this is the right-hand bank. This is the bank that Toyota labels as right-hand, RH, even though it's on the left as you look to the front of the engine. And over here, this is the left-hand bank. And of course, it's on the right. Right? So that's something to be aware of whenever you're working on this engine. That the nomenclature for the banks is a little bit counterintuitive, right? Okay, so here on the right hand bank we've got the variable timing gears. This is the intake camshaft, and this is the exhaust camshaft. And the way I've lined them up, okay, is I've lined them up so that the chain can be inserted and removed, right? So there's a flat spot right here that you can insert and remove the chain. And same thing on this side. There's a flat spot in the exhaust gear where you can insert and remove the shafts. I'm not going to cover how to line up the gears relative to each other, right? I'm not going to cover this. I'm just going to cover the timing chain and how to get it in the correct position. So to do this, we start up here, and what I'm pointing to is a little indentation, which is the timing mark on the intake gear for the left-hand bank. And I've lined it up with this orange link on the chain. Okay, so this is very important to get this right. And just in the spirit of doing it right, I've got this timing mark lined up with the mark that's on the head, which is this little tooth that you can see right there. Okay, so that's lined up. Now on this side, okay, on the right hand bank, the colored link has to line up with this faint mark that is to the right of the indentation, right? So in the clockwise direction. So you put this right here, and it doesn't matter much where this gear is right now, because as you're going to see in just a minute, it's going to have to be turned to complete the installation of the chain. Alright, so the chain is just hanging loosely, and I'm passing it over the crankshaft sprocket so it doesn't catch on anything. And you can see that I've got this slipper tensioner just hanging loose for now. Okay, so we've got these colored links in the right place. We've got the left-hand bank gear in the right place, okay, relative to the mark on the head. And now I'm going to prop this camera up right here so I can have two hands to work with, because this does require two hands. Okay, so what I need to do Okay, sorry for the interruption. I had one very important tool that I was missing. So I'm going to take a wrench, put it on the section of the camshaft that it fits on, hexagonal section, hexagonal shaped section. Okay, I'm going to put it right here. And now I'm going to apply some force very carefully, very slowly and carefully. I'm going to turn the right hand bank back. I'm going to turn it back, and the book says about 60 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back until it passes the point of resistance. Okay, and at this point, what we have is that this timing mark is roughly aligned with the head, with the timing mark on the head. The timing mark on the gear is aligned with the timing mark on the head. Alright, so I'm going to prop this back, and we've taken up all the slack between the two sides of the chain. Alright, so now we're ready to put the chain onto the crankshaft. Alright, so take up the slack here and see if we got enough slack to do this. Should be enough slack. Now down here, this is a little bit tricky. Down here there's a timing mark. There's a little dot on the crankshaft sprocket, and this is the timing mark. And it has to align with the colored link on the chain. So it has to be turned just a little bit in order to achieve the alignment. And the way I like to turn it is just to slip the pulley on, match it with the pin. It's a little bit fiddly. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to turn it so that it will align with the colored link on the chain. It's a little bit fiddly to get this right, but not too bad. Just little by little you turn it until it points in exactly the right direction for the link to slip on, and then it can be turned to get some tension on it. Right? Keeping all the links in the correct position on the sprocket. Okay, so I think we got it right there. Now we're ready to put the slipper on. Okay, and with the slipper, with the chain on the slipper, chain's on the slipper, I'm gonna grab the tensioner, and the tensioner is jammed open using a little tiny hexagonal key to hold it open. And then I can get the two bolts that hold the tensioner started where they need to go. Here we go. They're both started. I'm just gonna tighten them by hand, snug. Okay. And the key just fell out. It's not needed anymore. Okay. So we're done. This is it. Okay, everything is done. Everything should be lining up. And just to verify that, I'm going to put this bolt on. the crankshaft pulley. And I'm going to use this big old wrench to turn the pulley. Check how we're doing. Okay. So I'm going to go all the way around. And we're going to see where we end up after a couple of turns. Okay. So I had a paint mark down on the sprocket, just went through one turn. I'm going to make another turn, line up the paint mark. And I actually need one more turn. I made one turn too many, so we're going to make a total of 4 turns with the crankshaft. Okay, now I'm lining up top dead center, and we're going to check the timing. Okay, so here's our timing mark on the intake of the left-hand bank, and it's lined up very closely with the mark on the head. And now let's look over here at the mark on the exhaust gear of the right-hand bank, and it's lined up with its mark. And down here in the bottom, okay, I've got the paint mark that I put on the timing marks for the crankshaft, and they're lined up. It's hard to see them from this angle. Take my word for it, they've lined up. So we've completed the installation. Everything is lined up. Okay, the main things to check are this indented mark with the little nubbin on the head, and over here it's the single mark next to the double mark. The single mark lines up, and you have to look at it from an angle. It lines up with the little nubbin on the head. And we're done. Thanks for watching.